Is Jeep's hybrid as bad as everyone makes it out to be? We're going to find out in today's video. I'll include a link to the Jeep Insanity's website in the description down below. Also include a link to my car buying guide. Let's get into it. Under the hood, we have a turbo 4-cylinder paired to an 8-speed and a hybrid. The MPGe rating is 56. The MPG rating is 23 miles per gallon without hybrid assist. And then the range on this is 26 miles on a charge. Puts out 375 horsepower and 470 pound-feet of torque. I'm trying to hit 500,000 subscribers before the end of the year. I'd really appreciate it if you'd help out with that. I do think the Trailhawk decal with a blue accent is pretty cool looking. And this newest Grand Cherokee has a very boxy front end. Again, blue recovery points for the 4xe. Compared to the WK, the new WL is definitely a lot boxier. And that boxiness kind of brings it closer to the Wrangler in terms of styling. Now our tire wheel setup is 265 by 60 by 18. And yes, it's got real all-terrain tires. This also has height adjustable air suspension. Itty bitty fender flares, but again, more blue badging. Here's the side profile where we can see the two-tone design with the black and the silver. And this Trailhawk version is only available in the 2-row version. You cannot get this in the L. But a benefit of the 2 rows, you have tons of space behind the second row. There's also a 12-volt in the back, and you've got this little button to lower down the hatch. New taillight design here, and then you've got another 4xe badge with a blue recovery point. Although the rear is definitely more rounded off, I think it's still boxier compared to a lot of other crossovers. One thing that I would think would help sell this Trailhawk a little bit more is if they were able to fit even bigger tires underneath it to make it look like a beefier off-roader. Let's now pop inside. Soft touch at the top of the door panel, you got blue stitching down below. And that theme continues with the suede inserts here on the seats. Again, more blue stitching. Legroom here in the back's good. We got a storage pocket there. We've got heated seats, USB ports, full outlet, and vents in the rear. And there is plenty of headroom back here. Let's now pop up front. More soft touch at the top of the door panel with blue stitching down below. Blind spot monitoring with the mirrors. We've got our memory seat functionality. The mirrors do power fold in. Front two windows are automatic. Trailhawk logo there on the front seat. It's power adjustable with lumbar support. Passenger seat's also power adjustable with lumbar support. Which is more payload than a Wrangler, 1,050 pounds. And if you're wondering why I keep comparing to the Wrangler, that's Jeep's other SUV that's similar in size to this, and it's also the only other Jeep that has the 4xe powertrain currently. Being a plug-in hybrid, you can do full hybrid, full electric, or e-save, which charges the battery. You also get a charge port on the side to charge the battery yourself. Start it up. Nice soft touch trim there on the outside of the steering wheel with the blue stitching in the center. Practical controls like our adaptive cruise control, paddle shifters are on the back, radio controls on the back. On the left-hand side, controls for the center digital screen. And that digital screen gives you important information like letting us know that we're pretty much out of range on every single element. But you can change the information that is displayed there in the center depending on what's important to you. We do have physical controls on the top for like the battery regen, lane departure, stability control, parking sensors, and then to turn on the passenger screen. And yes, this has the silly passenger screen. Now, just like a Wrangler, this actually has a front and a rear camera with the trail lines. And then as for the rest of the infotainment system, I've got heated and ventilated seats with a heated steering wheel, a little shortcut bar there at the bottom. And it's pretty quick to respond. It does take a second though for some of the pages to load up. And this does have off-road pages like a Wrangler. Now they do double down by giving you physical controls for the radio, for the climate, for the heated and ventilated seats, and then there's a little charging area below all of that. This has drive modes for both on-road and off-road use. Dial shifter here. We also have adjustable air suspension, 2-speed transfer case, and we have a sway bar disconnect as well as off-road cruise control. Got some cup holders, and then the center console here has pretty good space, nice trim on the top. Here's our window sticker, Grand Cherokee Trailhawk 4xe, $68,775. Let's take this out and see how it performs. 4xe. This is a controversial powertrain, I will say that. You know, there was obviously that big recall problem where they were literally lighting on fire. Like, I remember the notice came out and it's like, don't park your 4xe in your garage because it can spontaneously combust. So, yeah, they've had some technical issues with this powertrain. But even if they fix all the technical issues, I think that there's a larger kind of quote-unquote issue with the hybrid as it sits now. Now, first off, when it comes to driving dynamics, you have two different powertrains communicating with each other. So it's kind of interesting with the overall feel. What it basically feels like is you've got a 4-cylinder turbo that's got the normal boosty feel, and there's a little bit less of a boosty feel because you do get a bit more torque on the low end. It doesn't feel like the power figures on paper, and that's every single hybrid. Every single hybrid feels slower than what the power figures suggest because what you really have is huge shove of torque from the electric and then the engine takes over. And so whatever power the engine has, which this is the 2.0 turbo, so what, it's putting out like 270 horsepower, 295 pound-feet of torque. That's what it's going to feel like in terms of the driving, which is not slow by any means. It just doesn't, you know, when you get in this and you read the power figures, you're like, oh, this is going to feel insane, you know, 470 pound-feet of torque. But yeah, so there's that part of it. And again, that's every single hybrid, especially and it's more noticeable in a bigger vehicle like this. Like I have a new Toyota Land Cruiser I've been long-term testing. Same thing, right? Bigger vehicle, and you definitely don't feel like you're driving around with 465 pound-feet of torque in that thing. I can tell you that right now. But this isn't slow, and this is... it's pretty good, actually, in terms of the acceleration. But you just, if you get this, basically look at it as like the performance of the 2.0 with maybe a little bit more torque. And the real reason is, the real benefit rather, is the range, right? You get the electric driving range that you don't get with a V6 Grand Cherokee. They don't make just a 2.0 turbo Grand Cherokee, which has always confused me. They do it with the Wrangler, but they don't do it with the Grand Cherokee. You think they would, but kind of strange there. So I think the new WL generation Grand Cherokee drives really well. I love this generation of the Grand Cherokee, actually. It's really nice. They've had a lot of little gremlins they've had to deal with, and it's kind of eroded some trust with the buyers, I think. That's just something that you just gotta, you know, build back that reliability reputation of reliability, which takes some time. But the other thing is, I just think that plug-in hybrids are really hard to sell. If you look at it, most of the luxury automakers have plug-in hybrid options, and the only one that really does well is Volvo and Lexus. Everyone else struggles to sell their plug-in hybrids. But then you even look at, you know, Toyota, which is the most successful hybrid automaker in the US market, and most of their hybrids are traditional hybrids. And that's what I think that the American automakers, Jeep included, should start off with. And I know that they kind of did a little bit with like the e-torque, but that was a mild hybrid. That wasn't the same as what's in, again, my Land Cruiser, where it's got a little like I think it's like a 1.1 kilowatt hour battery pack. So I think that's what they should do, is instead of this, which is a very complicated powertrain, which is hard to make, it's very hard to make reliable. Like Toyota's been the only one that's been able to make one of these plug-in hybrids pretty reliable with like the Prius Prime, but that also has an eCVT, which is significantly different than this having a torque converter 8-speed. But where I'm getting at here is, I think just a regular hybrid, and what I think that would look like in the Grand Cherokee, I think they should offer a couple different variations. So V6 with the regular hybrid, and then offer the Hurricane with the regular hybrid. I think that Grand Cherokee buyers are more open to the Hurricane than Ram buyers, for example. And I think that if they get everything worked out with the Hurricane in the Grand Cherokee, then the Ram buyers will eventually come around, because it is more efficient and it does have more torque than the Hemi. But, you know, it takes time to convince truck buyers to go for a smaller displacement engine. So that's kind of my 2 cents. I think they did things like Jeep just did things backwards. It's like they went plug-in hybrid when they should have done traditional hybrid, and then they put the Hurricane in the Ram when they should have put it in this first, tested it out here, and then once they got things ironed out, then throw it into the Ram. It's my 2 cents.